This is Sophie Heller, and this is an ACT science question. The question is asking us, what's the best method to identify minerals? So our passage tells us that geologists use many tests to identify minerals. So one of the most obvious one is the color of the minerals, but you can also do some other tests. So two of the easiest ones to perform are the hardness test and the streak test, and the passage will go on to give us some experiments. The fact, though, that geologists use many different tests and that we're performing two easy tests on these two minerals in this passage would probably point to the fact that we need more than one test. So let's look at our choices. Choice one is to use the color of the mineral. So the color of the mineral is the most obvious, and that's something that you get from the streak test because streak test determines the color of the powder of a mineral. But if we're using the streak test in conjunction with the hardness test, it's probably not the only method. It's not the best method, since otherwise we would just use that. So that's no good. Choice number two, to use only the hardness test and the scratch test. So even though those are the ones used in this passage, we don't know, because it says that geologists use many different tests. And it also tells us that these are two of the easiest tests performed, but we don't know if some other tests are better. So we can't say from this passage that there are only these tests. Choice three, to use an identification book to look up the mineral and compare it to the pictures. Not talked about in this passage, and probably better to get it from more hard data. So that's not that good. Choice four is really broad, but it's the only one that we can say definitively. It says to use a combination of many tests, which is true because geologists use many different tests, and in this passage we're using a combination of the hardness test and the streak test. So choice four is our answer.